All right, what's good, everybody? This will probably be the last episode from the series. I think it's four. I was gonna make two series, but I'd rather just talk about it. I'm gonna move quick. I'm not gonna go into detail, so I'm gonna be missing some stuff that I would probably go more into detail if I had like episode three. But I don't feel like talking to this shit anymore. I feel like after this month, September, I'm gonna move more into more common person. A lot of these belief systems and stuff, I'm just gonna put it down on a whole and I'm gonna get a shovel and I'm just gonna what's it called? I'm gonna see if I can actually put it in the grave. I mean, like, deep inside a lot of this stuff, I'll have it inside, but I will try my best to stay away from it, talk about it, um, to put more energy into it. Like, um, I just wanna focus more on being like everybody else, man. Um, the energy, like being having such I'm not gonna say gift, but having all of these knowledge, like eventually you become abnormal, man. You do not become the same person. Like you become just weird or abnormal. That's all I can say, man. Like not necessarily weird, but you get what I mean. So on your years, you're supposed to grind and take risks. What I mean by that, and that's one reason why I'm pissed, is that this is the year of the horse. I was born on the year horse. Very few good things have been happening to me. Like it's been already the past 2 months that I barely see some stuff, but not to a point where I'm just getting like success after another. I wasn't expecting that. I was literally expecting that. If not, on the contrary, I was getting bombarded by stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I need to really, really, and I mean really, start focusing on myself. And I think if you're going through that phase as well, where you feel like this is gonna be your year, and then you wonder why that stuff doesn't go your way. That's because like you want to focus on yourself, but your heart, your emotions, and all the other factors deep down, you're not focusing on yourself. You're focusing on other people, on other bullshit things around you. So yeah, I already mentioned that I'm gonna focus my energy on and if that's on myself, and that is if YouTube gets in the way, I might probably have to take a long break. Most of the people that I knew who would play with me for years have all stopped making content, except for a few people like Cody still lingers because he still in so many ways have the same energy. Like he lingers into the past like me. He holds on to the moments of the 2000s, and I can definitely pick that up from him. I don't have to talk to him. Like I can sense his energy. Like he still lingers a lot in the past, and that's pretty much why he still makes content. Um, because if you don't have the time to make content, either it's just that everybody has time. And the only reason they're not making content is not because they don't have time, it's because they're grinding, they're focusing on other stuff. And sometimes making content on YouTube is not in your favor, so it's totally understandable. All right, so I said I was born in the year of the horse, and I already talked about that. But you have to keep in mind that if there's energy numbers, it can disrupt some interference of success on those years. So there's a reason why many people think, because this is more advanced. Just because it's your a year that you came does not mean automatically it's gonna be your year. Remember, there are energy cycles, energies of the specific year, and if you add that all up into the mix, that's going to have some type of interference plus whatever mindset, people you surround yourself, diet, etc., etc. So I'm going to go, there's probably a little bit more than all of these, but everything that I'm going to talk about, it all boils down with all of the success and failures that you can have. And you'll have a bigger understanding at the end of this video, more or less. So I'm a horse, but I'm in my enemy number year cycle, and I already talked about a little bit on that with the Messi versus the other guy, the Spanish soccer player, I forgot his name, where they were in their enemy year cycle. Well, I'm in my enemy year cycle, and that explains why things haven't been going too well. And then I'm gonna be in another enemy year cycle, which is gonna be eight. But I feel like the eight's probably gonna treat me better because I've been doing my best to help people as much as I can this past, can say probably 8, 9 years. And in my 8 year cycle, I would not give a fuck if like it's gonna be a really bad year. And the worst part of all is I'm gonna be in 11 year on an 8 year cycle, the next one. So I just hope life treats me well because if it doesn't, oh man, dude, may God have mercy on people, man. Because 11 is like you don't take your frustration just like that. You really really take out your frustration on like you explode basically. So people on 11 years, which is gonna be next year, that's gonna be one. So I'm gonna try my best to lay low with people because I noticed that on the last 11 year, which was 2018. It was a phenomenal year. 11 years are always really good for me. They're really good for me, but it's a double-edged sword because there's people that get triggered more by 11s. I don't get triggered by 11s as much as other people, and for some reason, like they were pushing me to get really, really mad to the point where I could have gotten like in 2 or 3 fights that year, and I usually try to avoid. I think I got into fights when I was in school, on middle school, high school. I almost got into several, but I was control myself. So I will try to keep a clean record, never to get into problems. So it's the 11 years that people will test you, man. So you can actually start getting those emotional outbursts. So let me see. It can be something. If they're not, there will be. Okay. So every zodiac, Chinese zodiac sign has a specific characteristics. Not everybody's gonna be having the same characteristics. So every sign, like the rabbit, which is the other one, the ox, all have different. Like the horse, I can tell you a little bit more. It goes more into detail, but I'm just gonna give you something small. They need to be active, and if they're active, if they just having a life, just you know, not having a discipline, routine, and keep them in check, they're basically gonna start feeling miserable. Um, And I always thought, man, I always tend to be happier and better when someone puts me in check, or I try my best to actually put myself in check. It is really hard for me to have a really disciplined routine of always waking up early, having the good diets. If I have that certain lifestyle, I tend to thrive. But the opposite of a horse, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if there's one. Well, there's actually, I think there's more than one, but there's one in particular that's a little bit opposite of that, and that's the pig. The pig can wake up, people that are born in pigs, they can wake up at whatever time, sleep at whatever time, schedules, they can have different schedules. It works more in their favor. The horses, they really mess up. They need to have a really good schedule, and then they tend to thrive. So there's specific characteristics of each animal sign. So for numerology, uh, there are numbers that can give specific details on behavior, such as five. And I did give an example of, again, going back to that video of what called Spain versus, what's it called, the other one, versus Argentina. I did mention that Spain had more energy. I did not want to say that Spain was going to win because I didn't know, I don't want people to actually bet and then get whatever views that I have and then start making bets and then don't fucking give me credit because I seen people get shit from me. Because I'm always on YouTube. I'm not gonna mention names. They get shit from me and then never say, "Hey, thanks, Lenny, for this," or that's the reason why I'm not gonna talk about this anymore. I can go more on detail on future videos, but I'm done, man. Like I'm literally done because people are very snake-like behavior. They get whatever information and they run off, man. And whenever they're in trouble, they start looking after you whenever they need something. Like, fuck that, man. I seen this behavior tactic from so many people. It's getting super repetitive. It's basically like I'm fed up, man. I'm literally fed up. So I mentioned that ones and nines were enemy numbers, so five and four kind of like enemy numbers, not the worst, but they just have different characteristics that are kind of opposite. So five tends to be not want to be in the same spot. They need to move out. And four, they have to be in the same spot. So think of it like patrolling, like an officer, like a security guard. They're in the same spot always. That's four energy. A five cannot be in the same spot because they will start having issues. Um, Five is like another one for sexual energy. Four is a discipline of abstaining um, from sex, basically. It's the opposite. Like five needs to have sex. Four can definitely abstain and have easier time. Now, depending on what you do for your first time on the specific year, say right now 2026 is one. I'll give you a good example so you can more or less understand. So I started it's a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit embarrassing, but I really don't care. So you can see a good example analogy. So 2003, that's when my sexual libido, all the like that's when a lot of the sexual started kicking in. Before that, I was basically like a kid. And if you add up 2003, 2003, that adds up to five. Five is sexual energy. That's why I've been very, very active, and I understand why I'm more active than a lot of other people. And there's other people that get become active on other years, like 2012. If you add two, one, two, that adds up to five, 2012. And then the other one, which is what, 2021, right? Two, yeah, two, two, one. That's another sexual energy year. Um, that's why a lot of people were born in 2021 and 2022 was because the 2021 like had that sexual energy. So I think that's when more people are born, when that 5 year energy is there, and a year after that, because again, a woman has like she's pregnant for 9 months, um, so a lot of people were born in 2022 as well. That's where more people are born on the 5 year cycle, and the 5 year, not cycle, sorry, 5 year or a year after that. So, like I said, there's always going to be numbers that have a good meaning. I given advice to certain people on this, and they did not get it. I'm not gonna mention names, but if you know who you are, you chose the number 16, and I hope you're watching this video. 16 is the number of loner energy. That's pretty much my day as well. 16, because if you add six and one is seven. So if you start getting depressed after getting married, start getting lonely, having nobody around, who's to blame with? I literally told you this last year about some of this stuff, or months ago, somewhere around there, and it's like, man, you weren't paying attention, or you chose to ignore what I told you. So again, it's like one of those things, man. I tried helping people, but they didn't take my shit seriously, man. And the Western Zodiac, there's the four elements, the water. Some people say there's five, but there's that water, air, fire, and earth. And I'll give you two examples that I mentioned here. So four elements. So the fires, in order for them to thrive and be happy, they need to be always moving out. Like the fire, you know how the fire spreads and gets moved? The earth stays to stay put and doesn't move, right? So they need to constantly be working and driving. Like if they're jobless at their house or working on home, but they're not moving, they're not too active. Um, that characteristics they'll tend to actually suffer, so they need to be more active. And the earth elementals the opposite. Earth elementals they need to be more at home. That's why earth elementals are more nurtured into becoming more family member material, like more loving and caring than the fire elementals, because the fire elementals they just need to be out moving, man. And if you're moving, you tend to not be with family members that much. So you think about it, it kind of makes sense. So there's gonna be more stuff into this, but I'll just give you some little bits and pieces. I don't want to be here for hours. Um, Astrology, which is a little bit more what we call the Western zodiac. There's two variations here, so I'm gonna go with the Western zodiac. I can put this into one context or one bullet, but I chose to have two bullets because it's technically the same, but there's some differences. It's basically the same, and um, because the Western zodiac they tend to go more into characteristics, and the astrology tends to go more into stars and characteristics of the specific sign as well. So they go into different details because the Western zodiac is more modern, and then astrology is more like stuff that they use for hundreds of years. So yeah, the Western zodiac is probably like the newest stuff that and it's probably the most popular of all the stuff that I'm talking about. Like your average girl is into this shit a lot. Like it's crazy. Like, and I can tell you, like a lot of the Western zodiacs, it's not like what I mentioned here. Casters here tend to resonate depending on the energy frequency you're experiencing during that time. So if they say, well, Virgos, which I'm a Virgo, they keep talking about Virgos are always whining and stuff like that. Like that's true, but at the same time, that's not true because if every Western zodiac has the good energy and the bad energy, the yin yang. So if you have the good energy, whatever they're talking shit about that will not reflect on you. So it all depends on the energy frequency vibration that you're resonating. Um, so they say, oh, Leos are very aggressive. They tend to actually get really mad. Like you can be married to a Leo for like 10 years and they'll be very, very, very like calm, not start fights, depending on the energy that they're in. But they'll be more pushed towards that specific energy that they're talking about. Sort of like a magnet. You know how a magnet you get them close and they'll get together. Like they'll tend to have that certain characteristics. That's why people put out those definitions for all those Western zodiacs because they studied um, because of the vibration energy that have resonating with that characteristic behavior. But that necessarily mean it's always gonna be like that, which pisses me off from people. They say, "Oh, Libras are this," or Sagittarius are this. That's not true, man. And depending on your energy frequency, there's a percentage here. Remember, just like all of the Chinese zodiac, it's not 100%. There's a percentage. It's all about the energy frequency. Um, so an astrology example, the planet and moon phase came in when you get influence in the positive and the negative way. All babies born during the day will experience less mental issues than babies being born at night. I have not seen nobody, and I mean literally nobody, talk about this on YouTube. I've been studying this phenomenon for the past I don't know how many years. I think probably 5, 6 years that I noticed people that are born during the day. That I found out that I ask or hear stories. So I was born during the day, was born during the night. Like the people that are born at night, especially the ones that are born on full moons, they tend to be the ones with all kinds of mental disorders. People that are born during the day tend to have less mental disorders, man. And why? There could be a number of reasons why. I'm not gonna go into detail. The what's it called? Man, getting blanked out. Like somebody doesn't want me to talk about this. So at nighttime, like man, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Let me move on with the next one. So manifestation, conscious, subconscious, and emotion. Example, brain frequencies being changed in order to reach a program system in your life. Affirmations, mind over matter, such as programming, food or water, etc. So yeah, mind over matter, able to actually focus the intent of erasing cancers or blessing your water in order to heal from any element that you're going through, and then out of nowhere, you bless it, and then you thank God for actually healing you. That's very, very common actually. Western medicine tries to not put this as a fact. They think that it's a placebo effect, so they push it. And the reason why a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a placebo. It's a placebo." It's not a placebo, man. Like your mind can heal. I don't know why they put this bullshit of the placebo mind definition in order to actually start thinking that it's all in your head. Like, yes, it's all in your head, but like your brain, your thinking can heal you and destroy you. So at the end of the day, the best medicine is your way of thinking, how you think. That's the best way I can give it to you, man. And you need a lot of reprogramming. A lot of times, whenever you want to focus on something, it does not work consciously because your subconscious is full of garbage stuff that you need help with. Your emotion is everywhere because your subconscious mind is in a mess. So in your conscious, you're trying to cope as much as you can to become a better person, and it's an ongoing battle for years and years. And the best way I can give it is an addict that is surrounding himself with a bunch of positive people, and they're constantly telling him, "Hey, do this, is that," which is helping them programming. But like I said, man, it takes time. Like how much um like think of it like a tree or a flower. Whatever you grow, you're feeding off that energy of conscious. If you want to break a habit, you gotta cut that tree, man. So if you fed that shit for 20 years, that branch is gonna be growing like hundreds of feet. I'm just giving examples so you can have a mental picture. So if you want to cut it over and over and over, like it's gonna take some time as opposed to someone that's been an addict on something for like 2 or 3 years. It's easier for them to quit because the tree hasn't been fed. Um, so another word for tree, it's some people I seen somebody mention them agragorns. It's basically thought forms that become basically alive and they start multiplying. Some people call it demons, the shaitan, but those are other stuff. Those are actually interdimensional beings, but these have similar characteristics, but they're not necessarily interdimensional beings. It's just stuff that um, becomes alive. Like thought patterns become alive, man. Like they literally become alive. But you can actually destroy them, and time, and they just disappear. Um, they say that whatever you think and create, like you cannot destroy or something like that. So there might be something. There might be something there. So I don't know. So at the end of the day, these thought patterns, man, have life to it. If you nurture it and you give life to something of thought pattern, it's gonna give something amazing. But if you give it something negative over time, like it'll start multiplying, man, like literally. And I already know the secret to success because a lot of people talk about only this and this, but they don't talk about this. And I need a lot of work here. Like I need a lot of there. And here I'm like half and half. My emotions are good, but the emotions are not that good. And sometimes, and I know this is not probably not good advice. Sometimes you gotta be selfish enough and just focused on yourself more. Because the moment you start focusing on other people emotionally, you start to have your emotions move left and right, especially if you see a lot of fucked up shit in your family or around people or stuff that you hear in the news or something like it's gonna trigger that emotion that it's gonna really disrupt your success. So that's the only reason why I want to stop focusing on a lot of other stuff that I've been focusing for 20 years, like a lot of the paranormal stuff, like a lot of the news, um, stuff like that. I need to focus more on me. And it's not because I'm being selfish or being a dick. It's just that I need to focus and working on that motion. And sometimes taking breaks, like a lot of celebrities, um, famous people, actors, etc., movie, um, anybody that's in the public that do a lot of work, whatever you can think of, it doesn't matter. They take breaks because they deep inside they in their inner side, their soul, they want to focus and fix this right here. And when they're focusing on themselves, they need to focus on their emotion. So yeah, let me move on to the next one. Diet, depending on your blood type. Example, not all foods for all blood types. Certain diets tend to make you happier, healthy, depending on your blood type. So I've seen a lot of um, basically practitioners and doctors that basically give a lot of shit on the internet, and people follow certain things, and then a lot of that stuff of diet then tend to backfire on certain people. And I think the Japanese or the Asians are more aware of this than the Westerns medicine, and that like specific blood types tend to really have an influence on certain diets. Like um, I think it's the O positive that cannot eat vegan food, I think, or it's the other way around, something like that. Like um there's specific blood type. If you eat the wrong foods, it will make you like not healthy. And then if you eat the opposite foods, it'll make you healthy. And then the other blood type, if they eat the same foods as the other blood type, they're not gonna get the same results. Like they're gonna have different results. Again, it all depends on their blood type. So again, you gotta do a little bit more research on that. This is something that if I will ever get back into this knowledge stuff in the future, which we will see, that's one of the things that I'll be putting my research on because in the future I do want to write a book and yeah, I want to influence something before I die. Like I want to create something or I want to influence something. Those two things. That's gonna be my ultimate lifelong goal before I pass. So the sexual energy can be harnessed. Example, semen retention, having sex tends to have certain success on individuals depending on the energy transfer and output. So this is very, very, very important. Mostly men get more energy from semen retention. Um, Women tend to get more energy from getting that sexual energy from the opposite sex. Um, that's why it becomes like a drug for women to constantly have sex because their mind and their subconscious mind and their emotion is very fucked up. So that sexual energy becomes like a short-term healing for them. Um, that's why you have a lot of these porn stars that have a lot of ups and downs and really bad ups and downs because that's one cope energy where they can get that sexual energy. Now, I don't know if I should say this, but There's one transfer. I don't have evidence of this, but I put the pattern into this, and I feel like this might become true. And I understand why now. Why most women, if they're not finding success and getting attention in real life, they will get it on the internet, man. They'll literally get it on the internet. And the reason why most women do this is because there's a transfer of lust energy, say, or sexual energy that like basically opens up a portal from going point A to point B. So in other words, they're transferring that energy towards the other person, so the other person tends to feel good. Most of the male, whenever they do semen retention, what ends up happening, you have more willpower and stuff to do, a lot of other stuff. Whenever you don't do semen retention, you just want to be lazy and not do stuff. Like you're basically dried up from all the they say it's the dopamine. Dopamine. I call it I call it the spiritual energy. Um, Again, people want to do labels. I can do my own labels as well. So as you get older, that dopamine will start diminishing, or that spiritual energy will start diminishing. So a man will deteriorate really fast, like health-wise, if he starts not having the motivation to do things. And I can tell you that when my grandpa started being in bed in 2015, he went downhill after that because he got an injury and then he just stopped getting off the bed after that. Like I didn't see him in the table or sitting that before. I mean after that, sorry. So and women again get that energy from the sexual urges from the male energy. It be real sex or it be lustful manifestation thoughts that get put into a guy and basically gets transferred into the other person. So yeah, this is like some stuff that it's not like 100% confirmed and just some stuff that I started putting connecting the dots and like because somebody mentioned something very similar to these that women are basically like actually two people mentioned this. One is I'm not gonna mention his well I'm not gonna mention both of them, but one of them said that women are basically like batteries. They get whatever energy that you give them from having sex and they get tainted if they have more than certain bodies and then they become obsolete. Like they basically cannot find the success in order to transfer that energy towards the man. That's why a woman can make and break a man. Why? How? Through the sexual energy transfer. Um, what's the other one? And women are already wired with that specific energy that they were born with, like the Chinese zodiacs, the numerology, like all of that is reprogrammed them into their DNA, and all of that gets transferred to the other person whenever they have sex. Um, so say like a girl that's born on the 22 or is born on a 22 year, like 22 is a master number they'll build and create something and yeah, the list goes on. So this goes way more in detail. Let's see. There's more into this that I can actually go through, but I don't want to go more into this one. I need to wrap this video up. Um, Movement and poses energy can be harnessed. So an example such as dancing tends to clean up a lot of the energy blockages. A lot of people say, well, dancing causes a lot of people to actually burn a lot of calories. That's actually true, but at the same time, there's these movements that don't do a lot of calories. Like there's some Chinese that practice these movements where they're just standing and they just move their hands like every morning. So there's these blockages that tend to energy blockages that they don't get moved out. So a lot of times they get stored as body fat and sometimes it gets stored in what's it called, the acne, and sometimes the energy is really really tainted that it can literally cause cancer. Um, so one way to actually always be like physically looking good, healthy, and be vibrant, like you gotta just dance or move around, man. Like find some type of movements, create something. Like if you don't like dancing, you just create something that you can actually start moving your hands, your body, so you can actually start releasing those blockages that you have in your body. Um, and I know notice that a lot of people that do these practices, they tend to have the most what's it called, beautiful skins. So it all makes sense, man. Like people who don't, they say junk food. Like junk food can actually probably cause, yeah, they can cause acne, but at the same time, it's like the emotional energy doesn't sometimes get released. And I guess like one of the best ways to actually release energy is through dancing. Sometimes music and songs, which is going to be the next one, can be able to move energy. That's why a lot of people tend to feel really good after hearing a song. Like it hits their heart, like emotional heart, and they feel really good because the energy is being traveled all over the body. That's why um, music is very, very, very powerful because it not only influences the conscious, subconscious, and emotional energy, but it focuses on energy transfer of the body as well. So a lot of times, if you have energy that's being stored that's bad and you want to get it out, you hear a specific song or music or something like that, and out of nowhere you start feeling really good, like really good after that. So, and as well, music and songs, they tend to have subliminal messages, and there's energy, frequency that's into the music that tends to program the output of whatever you're going through. So some songs can give you sadness, excitement, and etc. The next one is going to be outside energy influence. Energy can be harnessed. Example, the evil eye, um, psychic attacks. Evil eye and psychic attack is basically the same thing. A person who considers themselves a witch or people that are close to that name, like a warlock, a witch, they can be more or less, they know how to actually harness this energy, and then they can actually transfer that energy towards a specific individual. Now, I've seen videos where people say that the evil eye and stuff like that can be transferred to another person that's like in the internet. I think that's not true. Let me explain why. I feel like if you give the permission and if you're thinking, well, this is happening because of this, and that, and you're literally giving an opportunity for that energy to be transferred or being opened, then you will get affected by that energy. But if you think that nothing shall harm you, like if you think if you're very spiritually connected and say that God has protected me, or there's nothing that I believe into this crap, like stuff that will not get transferred, you're not giving that permission slip in order for that energy to actually start coming into point A and going into point B. But the energy transfers from the evil eye happen, if you believe it or not, in person. Mostly, and I did not mention here on word is that handshakes or hugs are the biggest energy, and you can say maybe to a certain degree sex as well can be transferred um, from contact, and so I said some energy. Okay, I already mentioned something like that. And yeah, not all outside energy is bad. Some people um get good energy by being energy vampires, which is bad, but some people can reciprocate and get it into a positive way. So mention going back to the episode one when Dolores Cannon mentioned something about um, the people, the wave two that are coming in, they get that energy, but at the same time they tend to reciprocate all the negative energy, but then they start um, destroying it, like the body naturally starts destroying that energy. So some people have it better at destroying that energy. I already mentioned what are many ways to destroy that negative energy, such as movement, and then other stuff that I mentioned prior before this section right here. So let's see, and that's why a lot of people are hooked on going to the gym as well. I forgot to mention this. There's been a lot of people, especially women, um, that's been say, oh, it helps me mentally because working out. Well, working out requires a lot of movement and specific movement. So a lot of times you have that stored negative energy that you're basically observing, and it's helping you actually release that negative energy from becoming active. So when I mentioned reciprocating means that basically you give out and then it comes back like a boomerang. Um, so not all energy is just being like give it to you and I can't get it back. Sometimes the energy can be given and then it can come back and you feel that nurturing, loving energy. Like you know how like a group of friends or family members they're like in a party and you feel good, like really, really good, like such an amazing like oh man, I haven't felt this good in like in how can I say it, man? It's like back in the 90s, early 2000s, man. Like I felt so amazing being with cousins, with family members, being in certain parties, is because that energy, positive energy, is being reciprocated. It's moving towards them and coming back. That's why it feels good. But sometimes, whenever that energy is not being reciprocated and they're being transferred, it sometimes it become addicting. But it's not becoming addicting. It's just that you're getting drained, so they need that energy. So it becomes like a high, and then you start getting a really bad low because you're getting drained from somebody. Um, you gotta be very careful on that, man. It's like a mosquito when it starts biting you and you're itching and it feels good when you're itching, but it's something similar to that. But it's like the more you itch, the more it can start hurting and start getting blood. You can start getting affected from these energy vampires, man. And trust me, I think there's more energy vampires more so than ever because there's less of everything that people have been getting energy from. Like there's less minerals from food. That's why they need to suck up energy. The more minerals you have, or it's basically the soul or energy of the like life force. It's basically life force. The minerals and a lot of these foods have been coming man-made, so they have less minerals or sometimes almost no minerals than the natural foods because these artificial foods they cannot like have all the stuff that the natural foods have. So you're eliminating all the good um, minerals that make a person healthy and vibrant. So, I mean, you get the idea what I'm talking about here. So they won't feel that good energy. So in order for them to actually um, fill in the gap in order to have that energy that previous generations would have, well, they'll become energy vampires and start sucking up. That's why there's a lot of these behavior attitudes of becoming liberalism and be what you want and like you tend to just get your way like and becoming loud like you just want to start getting that energy that other older generations they're becoming more. into their own little family members. They'll grow their own little crops and they will not mess with people most of their life or all their life. Like they'll live in that little section village as opposed to like the new generation of today where they're going from city to city, place to place, and they're tainting everywhere they go because they're internally they're trying to get that energy that previous generations had it, but they had it natural ways, such as food, sun, and then there's other ones as well. Okay. Also, I forgot to mention this. The evil eye can have several symptoms such as headaches, bad luck, trouble sleeping, etc. So this is this is for a fact. A lot of people don't believe in this, but there's a lot of people that do, and they start connecting the dots and like, man, this shit of energy transfer of people, um, like stealing your energy or giving you that malintent energy, either they know it or don't, it really has an effect on a person. So the other one that's outside interdimensional being influenced can be influenced to harness energy. Example is witchcraft. I feel like this is more of a transactional energy. A lot of these entities just won't do it just because they do it. They'll get something out of it, man. And some out of it will be something like for favors and says can do something good or bad for a person in return for favors. It'd be energy wise, physical, mental, etc. So it'd be energy wise, it'll be like something like they'll start draining you at night and you'll start having specific odd dreams. And those dreams will basically just try and see if they can harness your energy. Um, and the list goes on, man. Like, there's more and more people practicing this craft, and honestly, I would not recommend nobody to mess around with any of these entities. And I feel like a lot of these stuff that you do will come back to you, like the yin yang. If you do unto others, it will come back. Sometimes it can take a while, man. Um, like I was a victim of this. I think in 2011 or 12, and this bitch ended up getting that karma justice 10 years later, like 21, 22. Like it took a long time, and the reason why I know is because um I was a little bit of a stalker, and I was finding out a lot of the stuff because as soon as I met this bitch, I really started like getting a lot of these bad uh, stuff. And during that time, I was open to a lot of things, like open as in like I was not protected. Now, dude, if somebody tries to mess around with me or something like that, dude, I'm not only protected, I'm more because I wasn't protected back then. I'm not only protected, but if I found out somebody's fucking with me, dude, I will mess people up now. Like before, I had sympathy, but now like fuck it, man. I'm already going on my 8 year cycle. Like if I can go on around for another almost 9 years, I'm good. Like so you gotta be very careful who you hang out. Like you just gotta find that like gut feeling, like that pickup energy from other people. If you think that something's not right, and you say, well, don't judge people by its cover, but if you think something's not right, judge people by its cover, man, because you're picking up that energy. And a lot of times I would hang out with a lot of people that were really fucked up. And there was a side version of me that would say, you know what, I'll have him as friend or this or that. Like, and then I ended up getting screwed over or getting fucked over later because I tend to actually not judge its book by its cover. And again, like a lot of these people, it's just they need help mentally, physically, and spiritually, man. The people that are messing around with this stuff, like, and let's see. So every number, zodiac, astrology, etc., has specific characteristics. Behavior of them, success and failing depending on their energy. So Again, not as true for everything. So for one person that can tell you, well, this has worked for me, well, that's because of their energy and frequency matches of whatever they're doing. Therefore, they're gonna find success into that specific practice, as opposed to yours. Think of it like a puzzle of Tetris, where there's like this puzzle that's gonna connect perfectly for that piece. Well, that piece is not gonna be the same for you, so it's not gonna find a perfect match. So you gotta find another practice in order to find that perfect piece to match you. So I'm gonna cut this stream and yeah, this is probably gonna be I think series 4. We'll see what I'll talk about in series 5. And like I said, there's 10 series that I'm gonna talk about stuff. And after the 10 series, I'm not gonna talk anything about that. I'm just gonna focus more on, well, I'm gonna focus most on just video games, music, drawing, and then the other one is gonna be talking about products or stuff like that because I want to be a business person as well. So hopefully nobody gets bothered if I do reviews of products or talk about products or use this channel more in the business wise in order to get sponsors and stuff like that. So for now, yeah, I'm gonna cut the stream and I was gonna do link today, but man, I just don't have the energy to do it today, man. So yeah, guys have a good one. Take care, everybody. Peace out.